Hello everyone. Let us continue with chapter number 4, chemical bonding and molecular structure. In today's session, we are going to talk about ionic bond. Ionic bond is that chemical bond which is formed by transfer or the exchange of electron between two atoms or more atoms. So here from one atom electron is transferred to the other atom, or we can say that the out of the participating atoms one atom will lose electron and the other will accept electron, means there will be exchange of their valence electrons. Clear? So here I have written ionic bond is formed by exchange of electron. Again it will be clear in your mind that this exchange will take place in valence orbit, that is the outermost orbit, and the electrons which are exchanged or transferred will be the valence unpaired electrons. Clear? So now let us take the example of NaCl in order to understand ionic bond formation. Now in sodium, the atomic number is 11, its electron configuration is neon 3s1. When this electron from 3s orbital is lost by sodium atom, it is converted into sodium ion, and this sodium ion will now have configuration of neon, means it is a inert gas configuration. So in this neon there is a complete octet, it is 2s2 2p6, so there are 8 electrons. Now the electron which is lost by sodium, it will be accepted or gained by chlorine atom. Now chlorine's atomic number is 17, so configuration is neon 3s2 3p5. When this electron is gained by chlorine, then it will be converted into chloride ion, which is negatively charged. Clear? Now its configuration will become neon 3s2 3p6, means we can also write the argon-like configuration is achieved. So here we can see that the octet is complete in the valence orbit of chloride ion. Now the point is, according to Lewis approach, when the atom participating in the bond formation, when it achieves octet, when it achieves the nearest inert gas configuration, then it will achieve stability. So here also sodium ion and chloride ion, they have achieved stability, they have achieved inert gas configuration. Then how this sodium chloride is formed? Here you can see, in spite of achieving inert gas configuration, there is a gain of positive charge, electric charge is acquired. Here in case of chloride ion also, negative electric charge is acquired in spite of completing its octet in the valence orbit. So now because of the opposite electrical charges, these two ions are active. Clear? And so in spite of having complete electron closed shell configuration, because of the electric charges present on these two ions, they are attracted by each other. So they are attracted and they will form NaCl. Is it clear? Now, here the important thing is what decides the stability of this NaCl which is formed. The loss of electron is called ionization, and the energy required to remove or to lose this electron is known as ionization enthalpy. And we know that ionization enthalpy or ionization is always endothermic reaction, means the ionization enthalpy is always positive. So for sodium also, its ionization enthalpy is 495.8 kilojoule per mole. Chlorine, when accepts electron, it is called electron gain enthalpy, and electron gain enthalpy can be positive or negative, means the gain of electron can be either exothermic or endothermic, it depends on the type of the atom which is gaining electron. Clear? So here in case of chlorine, electron gain enthalpy is negative. Why? Because when the electron is accepted by chlorine atom, heat is evolved or heat is released. So here this electron gain enthalpy is a negative value. Clear? So one process is endothermic and the other process is exothermic. Now the sum of these two enthalpies it can be responsible for deciding stability of NaCl crystal. So if we take the sum, then it is found to be 147.1 kilojoule per mole, which is again a positive value. Positive enthalpy means endothermic. This much energy is absorbed when NaCl crystal is formed. We can say that. Clear? But it is not so. Now positive enthalpy means energy is absorbed by the molecule, and if energy is absorbed, then there is always increase in instability. If we have more energy, we are more active. Clear? Means we are less stable. So here when Na plus and Cl minus ions are formed, the sum of their enthalpies is found to be positive. Positive means still this much amount of energy is absorbed in the overall reaction. So the crystal should not be stable. Clear? But even then NaCl is a stable crystal. Why? It is because there is something else which decides the stability of crystal, and it is the enthalpy of formation. When Na plus and Cl minus ions, which are oppositely charged ions, they are attracted by Coulombic force of attraction, or we can say that electrostatic force of attraction, and that is why ionic bond is also known as electrovalent bond. Clear? So when these two ions are attracted by each other in order to form NaCl, then the energy which is released, the enthalpy of formation is minus 788. Negative sign indicates release of energy. So when these two ions are attracted by each other, when the NaCl crystal is formed, then this much energy is released. Clear? So here the enthalpy of formation is negative. More negative is the enthalpy of formation, more stable will be the crystal. So even though the sum of ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy for NaCl is positive, but even then NaCl is a stable crystal. Why? Because its enthalpy of formation is negative. So compared to 147 plus 147.1, here this minus 788 is very less amount. Clear? So this is a negative enthalpy. Clear? So negative sign indicates, see, energy can never be negative. Here negative sign indicates that energy is released when the bond is formed. We also know that the bond formation is exothermic, means when the bond is formed, energy is released. When the bond is broken, energy is absorbed. Clear? If we need to break anything, we need to supply energy. We need to use energy. Clear? So here also when the bond is formed between Na plus and Cl minus, then energy is released. Clear? More is the energy released, more will be the stability of that bond, and that is why NaCl is a stable crystal. Clear? So we can say that only the completion of octet will not decide stability of the molecule, but here the lattice enthalpy, it will decide stability of the molecule. So now let us talk about lattice enthalpy. Lattice enthalpy is the amount of energy required to completely separate 1 mole of ions from the solid compound. Clear? I repeat, the amount of energy required to completely separate 1 mole of gaseous ions from 1 mole of ionic solid. So if we take 1 mole of ionic solid and if we want to separate the ions present in that 1 mole of ionic solid, then the amount of energy required is known as a lattice enthalpy. So for NaCl, lattice enthalpy is a 788 kilojoule per mole. It means that from 1 mole of NaCl crystal, 1 mole of solid NaCl, if we want to separate ions completely, means if I want to separate Na plus and Cl minus completely from 1 mole of solid NaCl, then this much amount of energy is required. Clear? So more is the amount of energy required to break the bond, more will be the stability of that compound, more will be the stability of that crystal. Now here the question is, here in case of lattice enthalpy I have written plus 788, but in case of enthalpy of formation I have written minus 788. Clear? This much amount of energy is needed if I want to separate the ions from NaCl. It means that if 1 mole of ions of NaCl are to be put together, are to be united, are to be connected, are to be chemically attached with each other by chemical bond, then this much energy will be released. Clear? So enthalpy of formation of NaCl is minus 788, and lattice enthalpy means the energy required when 1 mole of solid NaCl is taken, and from that solid NaCl, if the gaseous ions Na plus and Cl minus ions are completely separated, so in order to separate those ions, the energy required is known as lattice enthalpy, and it is plus 788 kilojoule per mole. So from these two values we can see that the unit for lattice enthalpy is kilojoule per mole. Clear? Or the unit for enthalpy of formation is also kilojoule per mole. Now in order to study different types of compounds, we need to study some parameters. The first one is a bond length. Now what is bond length? Bond length means it is the equilibrium distance between the nuclei of two bonded atoms in the molecule. Clear? It is, I repeat, it is the equilibrium distance, clear, between the nuclei of two bonded atoms in the molecule. Now in the molecules the atoms present may be identical, they may be different. So it is the equilibrium distance. Here equilibrium word is important. When two atoms, when they approach each other, it is due to the attraction between them. But when they approach each other, there will be repulsion also. So it is the equilibrium distance when these attractive and repulsive forces will balance each other. Clear? So at that equilibrium distance, two atoms will unite permanently in order to form a molecule. So this equilibrium distance between the two bonded nuclei is known as bond length. Clear? For example, suppose this is one hydrogen atom, this is another hydrogen atom. Due to attraction, they will approach each other. But when they come near to each other, there will be repulsion between their nuclei, there will be repulsion between their electrons also. So due to repulsion, they will try to keep themselves apart from each other. Clear? So attraction brings the atoms together and repulsion takes away atom from each other. Clear? But at one particular distance, at certain minimum distance, when the attractive and repulsive forces will balance each other, then these two atoms will unite permanently in order to form H2 molecule. So bond length is the equilibrium distance between the nuclei of two bonded atoms in the molecules. Clear? So, and this bond length is generally measured by either spectroscopic or X-ray diffraction or electron diffraction methods. Either of these three techniques can be used to measure bond length, and it is generally measured in picometer. So the unit for bond length is picometer. Now in bond length, two more words are important. One is covalent radius and the other is van der Waals radius. Clear? Covalent radius means RC and van der Waals radius means RVDW. Now we will try to understand the difference between these two. Suppose we have a molecule in which either identical atoms are there or different atoms are there. You can see here there is difference in the size of atoms. It means suppose this is atom A and this is atom B. Clear? So here when these two different atoms unite to form a molecule, then the distance between their nuclei is called bond length. Clear? The bond length is the equilibrium distance between the nuclei of two bonded atoms in the molecule. So this equilibrium distance, we can say it is a bond length. Clear? But what is covalent radius? Now here when these two atoms are bonded by a covalent bond, then this distance, this capital R is the distance between the two nuclei, we can say that is the bond length. But the half of this R is known as a covalent radius. Clear? Covalent radius is the half of the distance between the two bonded nuclei. So bond length is the equilibrium distance between the two nuclei, and covalent radius is half of this distance between the two bonded nuclei. Clear? So that is covalent radius. Then what is van der Waals radius? Now van der Waals radius, see, generally van der Waals bond is formed when the electrons present on the surface or the periphery of one atom or molecule, they are attracted by the nucleus of another atom or molecule. So this attraction is called van der Waals attraction. Clear? So now we will talk about van der Waals radius. Now suppose this is one molecule, suppose this is molecule A and this is molecule B, Ma and Mb. Now here you can see, if we take this is the one single molecule, then this distance is a bond length, and the half of this is called the covalent radius. Clear? This is the bond length and the half of this is covalent radius. This is single molecule. But when we have two molecules, then we can say that in different molecules, the distance between the bonded nuclei, clear, and the half of that distance is called the van der Waals radius. So covalent radius is defined for the same molecule. It is the half of the distance between the two bonded atoms in the same molecule. But van der Waals radius is defined for the half of the distance between the nuclei of two different molecules. Clear? So it is the distance between the nuclei of two different molecules. So this is one molecule, this is another molecule, and this is the nucleus of one molecule, this is also nucleus of one molecule. So we can say that the core of, this is the core of one molecule which is in contact with the core of another molecule. Clear? So the distance, the total distance between these two nuclei, half of that is called van der Waals radius. So you have to just remember the definition of covalent radius and van der Waals radius. Clear? This is one parameter which will decide the shape or the stability of the molecule. Second is bond length, bond angle. Bond angle is the angle between the orbitals containing bonding electron pairs, clear, around the central atom in a molecule or polyatomic ion. Here example, suppose we take methane. Clear? This is methane molecule. This is the central atom. So bond angle is the angle between the orbitals containing bonding electrons, clear, around the central atom in a molecule or polyatomic ion. So that is called bond angle, and it is generally measured in degree, and here also the technique used is a spectroscopic method which is used to measure bond angle. Here bond angle, it gives us the idea about the arrangement or distribution of the orbitals around the central atom. It means that it also gives us the idea about the shape of molecule. See, in methane molecule, this bonding orbitals means those orbitals in which the bonding electron pair is present. Here carbon and hydrogen, both of them are sharing their 1-1 unpaired electron, and they are forming bonding pair between them. So there are 4 bonding pairs, and these bonding pairs are present in the orbitals which are called bonding orbitals. This we will discuss in detail in the chapter of organic chemistry, but here just to make you understand that what is bond angle and what is bonding orbital. So this is the central atom around which there are 4 orbitals which contain bonding electron pair. The angle between these bonding orbitals is called bond angle, and this bond angle gives us the idea about the distribution of these bonding orbitals around the central atom, and so it also gives us the idea about or the information about the shape of molecule. So as you can see here in methane molecule, carbon is a central atom around which these 4 bonding orbitals are tetrahedrally arranged, and so the resulting shape of methane molecule is tetrahedral. Clear? So the geometry or the shape of the molecule can be decided on the basis of bond angle. Clear? Okay. Another important thing is bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy is the energy required to break 1 mole of the bond of particular type in a given molecule. So in a molecule there is a bond formed between the bonded atoms. So the energy required to break this bond of a particular type means whether it is a single bond or double bond or triple bond, whether it is a covalent bond or ionic bond. Clear? So the energy required to break 1 mole of the bond of particular type in a molecule, that is called bond enthalpy. It is measured in kilojoule per mole. Clear? But suppose we have this bond enthalpy is a very important parameter in deciding strength of the bond. More is the bond enthalpy, stronger is the bond. Clear? If the bond is strong, then more amount of energy is required to break that bond. Clear? So bond enthalpy is the energy required to break 1 mole of the bond of particular type in a molecule. Clear? So stronger is the bond, more is the bond enthalpy. So here bond enthalpy is important parameter in deciding strength of the bond and ultimately stability of the molecule. If bond enthalpy is higher, means the bond is stronger, and if bond is stronger, means that molecule is a stable molecule. Clear? But suppose we have polyatomic molecule. So in case of polyatomic molecule, the strength of the bond, if it is to be decided, then it is a very complicated issue. Suppose we take the example of methane itself. Now in methane, there are 4 carbon-hydrogen bonds. Clear? Suppose this one bond is broken. So the amount of energy required to break that bond, that carbon-hydrogen bond, is E1. After this one bond, say initially when no bond is broken in methane molecule, then the central atom is equally attracted by 4 hydrogen atoms. Clear? But when one of the 4 bonds is broken, then now the activity or the reactivity or the behavior of this carbon will change, because now it is attracted by 3 hydrogen atoms. Clear? So there will be effect on the reactivity of the carbon atom, the central atom. And so when this reactivity changes, it means if the second bond is broken, then some different amount of energy will be required. Though the type of bond is the same, it is a covalent single bond and it is the bond between carbon and hydrogen only. But even then, after one bond is broken, the reactivity of the molecule changes, and so the amount of energy required to break second bond will be different. When second bond is broken, then again the reactivity will change. So the energy required to break the third bond will again be different, and the energy will be for fourth bond will be totally different. It means, I mean to say is, though in methane molecule 4 covalent single bonds are present between carbon and hydrogen. Clear? So all these CH bonds are identical. Clear? Even then, in order to break all of them, different amount of energy is required. Clear? As I told you, higher is the bond enthalpy, more is or the stronger is the bond. But here in this case, though the types of bond is the same, but different amount of energy is required to break them, Then how to decide the strength of bond? Now which bond enthalpy, either this bond enthalpy or this will decide the strength of carbon hydrogen bond? It is very complicated. So in such molecules, in polyatomic molecules, we always take the average bond enthalpy or mean bond enthalpy. Now how it is calculated? So it is calculated by taking the sum of all bond enthalpies. For example, in methane, we have 4 different values of bond enthalpies. So we take the sum of bond enthalpies divided by number of bonds broken. We have broken total 4 bonds in methane molecule. So I have divided it by 4. Suppose we take water. Then in water, there are 2 hydrogen oxygen bond. Clear? So I am breaking 2 hydrogen oxygen bond. So here in this case, it will be E1 plus E2 divided by 2 only. Is it clear? So average or the mean bond enthalpy is equal to sum of the bond enthalpies divided by the total number of bonds broken. Here, this you have to remember. Okay. Then the last parameter is about bond order. Bond order. According to Lewis approach, bond order means the number of bonds. If it is a single bond, it means bond order is 1. If it is double bond, bond order is 2. If it is a triple bond, bond order is 3. Bond order can even be in fraction. It can be 0.5, it can be 1.5 also. Yes, that also we will study afterwards. So bond order is the number of bonds. Clear? More is the bond order, means more is the number of bonds. Clear? It means that smaller will be or shorter will be the bond length. Clear? We know that single bond is more in length compared to double bond. Clear? Then double bond is more in length compared to triple bond. So if number of bond increases between the atoms, then bond length decreases. If bond length decreases, then bond enthalpy will increase because attraction increases, so bond enthalpy will increase. And if bond enthalpy increases, then stability will increase. So here I have written higher is the bond order. Suppose we take carbon-carbon triple bond. Clear? If we take carbon-carbon triple bond, so bond order is 3. Clear? So if bond order is 3 means this bond is shorter. Bond length will decrease. So this bond is shorter. If bond is shorter means more attraction. More attraction means higher bond enthalpy. And if bond enthalpy is higher, then stability is higher. So compound containing carbon-carbon triple bond is more stable because it has more or it has higher bond enthalpy because its bond order is more. Clear? So increase in bond order means decrease in bond length. If bond length decreases, it means bond enthalpy increases. And if bond enthalpy increases, then stability increases. Is it clear? So carbon-carbon triple bond is more stable because it has higher bond enthalpy. It has a shorter bond length compared to carbon-carbon double bond. Here bond order is 2. If we take carbon-carbon single bonds, then the bond order is 1. So bond order means number of bonds in the molecule. Clear? So here this is very important. Isoelectronic species, they have same bond order. Isoelectronic species, in third chapter we have discussed about this. Those species which have same number of electron. It doesn't matter whether it is atom, ion or molecule. But if they have same number of electron, they are called isoelectronic. For example, F2 and O2. Clear? Now F2 and O2 minus 2. This is ion and this is a molecule. So both are having same number of electrons. So they are isoelectronic and their bond order is 1. We will study afterwards how to find out bond order. Mathematically how to calculate bond order, that we will study afterwards. Here you have to remember only the definition, and for isoelectronic species bond order is the same. Number of electron is same means the bond order is also same. So these two are isoelectronic, so their bond order is same. These three are isoelectronic, so their bond order is also same. So these three Nitrogen is molecule, carbon monoxide is a molecule, but NO plus 1, nitrosonium ion. So this is the ion. So all three, they are different. One is a molecule, it is a diatomic molecule in which both the atoms are identical. Here this is also diatomic, but both atoms are different, and this is ion, diatomic ion, but they have same number of electron, and so their bond order is also same. Clear? So this only you have to remember. And the last important thing is this relation, which we have already discussed. So this is all for today. We will go for the next topic in the next class. Have a nice time. Thank you very much.